Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's video, the Pleiadians wanted to chat with us about what they see as a trap that a lot of starseeds and lightworkers are getting caught in, a way that we are getting a little stuck as lightworkers and starseeds without realizing it. But before we jump into today's topic, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. So as the Pleiadians have been keeping an eye on our awakened community, they've noticed that something is happening that is tripping up a lot of lightworkers and starseeds. And that is that we're getting stuck in the knowledge phase of the growth process. Now, when most of us have our awakening, one of the first things a lot of us do is we dive into learning. We start to read the books. We start to watch the videos, to follow people on social media. And we start to learn all about this new world that is opening up to us. And this is a great first step. We love the knowledge. Nothing wrong with the knowledge. But as the P's like to say, knowledge doesn't get us very far. So it is wonderful. It gives us the understanding that we need. It helps us to rethink our reality, but it doesn't actually help us bring it into our reality. So to do that, we have to actually act on what we are learning. So the P's have noticed that a lot of lightworkers and starseeds are getting stuck in the knowledge phase, where they are watching the videos, reading the books, following the people, but they're just accumulating information. And again, it's helpful, not a bad thing. We don't hate that at all, but this doesn't help us actually change our life. As the Pleiadians like to say, if you're not moving energy, nothing is happening. So in order to start seeing actual changes in our life, we have to be putting what we're learning into practice. And y'all, this is a trap that I fell into so hard after my awakening. I did the same thing that the P's are talking about now, where I dove headfirst into research. I was a lawyer. It's what I knew how to do. And so I spent years learning, studying, following teachers. And I could talk like a PhD candidate about spirituality and metaphysics. I thought I knew it. And I did this for about 7 years. And then I had the very harsh realization that nothing in my life had changed as a result of all of this learning. My teachers were talking about how we control our reality and we can create heaven on earth. And after a good long time, I had to take a harsh look at my life and realize nothing had changed. I had all of this wonderful information, all of this knowledge, but nothing was actually changing in my experience. And that kicked me into a dark night of the soul, where I knew that the information was correct, and I couldn't understand why nothing was changing in response. And so what I came to learn when I started working with the P's is that I had gotten stuck in the knowledge phase. I was accumulating information, but not learning how to move energy. And so the next step I had to take was actually putting this knowledge into practice, actually studying with teachers who were going to teach me how to move energy. And for a lot of us, this can be a little bit of an overwhelming step. It can be a little daunting to step into actually learning how to do this in practice. But this next step of learning the practical aspect is where everything comes into reality. Because this is a difference between sitting on the bench for your sports team and actually playing. Yep, when you're sitting on the bench, you're on the team, but you're not really contributing. And so the same thing happens when we get stuck in the knowledge phase. Yes, we are learning about our spiritual gifts and abilities, but we're not actually doing it. So the Pleiadians have noticed that this is tripping up a lot of lightworkers and starseeds. They're starting to wonder why they're not seeing changes in their life experience, why they still have the same problems and issues that they had 2 and 3 years ago. And one of the reasons for that is we've gotten stuck in the knowledge phase. And so if this is resonating with you as something that you may be struggling with yourself, one of the most important things you can do is start to get formal training to teach you the practical tools. One of the things that is always my priority with my clients is to teach you the how. You already have the knowledge. We get it at this point in the spiritual community. We know what's up. You've been watching the videos, you've been following the teachers, but where we fall short in the spiritual community is that almost no one is teaching us how to actually do it, how to move the energy. And again, if we're not moving the energy, we're just talking to ourselves. We are just accumulating knowledge. And nothing wrong with knowledge. Knowledge is wonderful. But knowledge isn't what brings change. So when we are wanting as light workers and starseeds to show our higher self that we're ready for the next level, we have to be willing to step into action. Because if the higher self is watching us and we are not acting on what we are learning, we are not signaling to the universe that we're ready for the next level of consciousness. So to do that, it's super important that we start to get appropriate tools from whoever you are working with, whoever is teaching you, whoever you are investing time with as a teacher or a guide, to make sure that they are teaching you how to actually move energy. If not, you can fall into that very understandable trap of getting stuck in the knowledge stage. And so many of us in the 2025 energies are being called to the next level of our soul mission. And that requires that we know how to move energy, to actually do all this stuff we've been learning about for years and years. It all comes down to putting things into practice. So when I work with my clients, this is my main focus, to teach you the how. You already know the what and the why. You know the theory. You are up to speed on that. The thing that we want to be asking ourselves as light workers and starseeds is, do we know the how? Do we know how to move energy? Do we know how to transmute energy? Do we know how to do all the things that we have learned about in our spiritual education? Do you actually have a process to release limiting beliefs, to release negative memories, to dissolve stuck and frozen emotion from your energy field? There are very specific techniques to do these things. So most of us know that we need to do it, but where we are getting a little tripped up in the spiritual community is most of us don't know how to do it. So the P's just wanted to bring our attention to this so that you guys don't lose as much time as I did stuck in the knowledge phase. Again, we're not knocking knowledge. It is a necessary first step, but we don't want to get stuck there. And so this is something that takes a little courage on our part to be willing to step into acting on what we have learned. This is how we show our higher self that we are ready to actually step into our soul mission and be of service to humanity. We do that through action. So if this is something you are realizing that you might need a little extra help with, click the link in the description to work with me and the P's one-on-one. This is what the P's excel at, in teaching you the how, the actual techniques to move energy, because that is where we actually start to see change in our life. So the P's wanted to help us because it's super easy, y'all, to get stuck in the knowledge phase without realizing it. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but it only takes us so far until it's time to actually get off the bench and play in the game. So that is what the P's wanted to share with us in today's POV. As always, click the link in the description if you need some help with this. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.